Good evening. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and welcome to News in Focus. My name is Firas Natal. We'd like to thank you, the viewer, for staying with us here on Hilaal TV, DSTV channel 347. Of course, the news that has been dominating since Sunday, the National South African Police Service has revealed its KZN Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has been receiving threats since his bombshell media briefing. At the weekend, Mkhwanazi made jaw-dropping allegations saying his team of detectives had uncovered a syndicate operating within the police's higher structures. Joining me now, I'd like to welcome the Chairperson of the Police Portfolio Committee, Ian Cameron. Ian, good day. Thank you so much for joining us on News in Focus on Hilaal TV.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I think, Ian, let's start off with the security beefing up that needed to be done for Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. It's a necessity, isn't, given that these allegations that were made on Sunday are as damning as you can get.
Yeah, I mean, it really has turned everything upside down. It feels like absolute chaos, to be honest. And I think there's actually a real opportunity in this to use every remedy to our disposal to actually clean up and to see real change happen. But nevertheless, it really has caused a lot of doubt. It's caused a lot of uncertainty amongst junior ranks in the South African Police Service, but even more so amongst senior ranks. So if that happens inside SAPS, then you can just imagine the amount of uncertainty that is created outside in terms of the public. So we'll have to see what happens next, because I honestly believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Of course, you sit as the chairperson of the Police Portfolio Committee, Ian. I was speaking to Advocate Paul Hoffman from Accountability Now on Monday, and one of the things he was suggesting was, of course, there are private member bills that are sitting with Parliament to allow there to be an anti-corruption unit, something similar to what we saw with the Scorpions before it got disbanded. How's the progress on that? Is there discussions for that to happen, given the state and the rise of organized crime within the country?
Yeah, it is coming. I mean, it was quite recently only submitted, so it does take time, but it is in process in terms of having been submitted to Parliament. So yeah, we're waiting for that. I think that we mustn't underestimate the authority that Parliament actually has with regards to what was said on Sunday. So in the meantime, while a bill such as that, which is, in my opinion, of critical importance, does get considered, we should now use every opportunity we can within the scope of Parliament to hold the relevant people accountable, and obviously publicly so, quite a bit of it. I don't think we have the luxury of waiting for other types of remedies, even though some could be critically important, whether it's a judicial commission or something of that kind. I think Parliament is likely one of the key institutions to make sure something happens a little bit faster than what we may expect elsewhere.
Ian, organized crime within the country. I think after listening to what Mkhwanazi had said on Sunday, I think it's deeper and more problematic than us as citizens had thought it to be.
Yeah, no, certainly. Look, it's important, first of all, that we make sure that we approach this as objectively as we possibly can. There are always two sides to a story. I think a lot of what was said seems to be accurate in the way that it ties the knot between many different stories we've heard over time. But that being said, it needs to be proved. And I think, General Mkhwanazi claimed that he does have evidence for the relevant work. I mean, I don't think he would have taken the risk to announce things the way that he did if he didn't have evidence. That being said, we need to follow the relevant due process to now determine the value of that evidence, whether it's accurate or not, and then obviously what the recommendations after that would be.
Ian, listening to Police Commissioner Fale Masemola yesterday when it came to, of course, firearms, I mean, this has been a hotly contested topic and is, of course, affecting the way South Africa is being run as a society. How much of importance needs to be given into the way firearms are being managed, especially when it comes to investigating crimes, and crimes at such a high nature when you're talking with regards to organized crime?
No, it certainly should get significant attention. I mean, there's a huge problem with illicit firearms being circulated in South Africa. If we look over the past years and you look at reports by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, it indicates over 3 million illicit firearms just in the Southern African region. So it's a massive amount of firearms that we're speaking of. And we constantly see and hear of firearms also being re-seized and linked to having been previously booked into South African Police Service stores or elsewhere. So no, it's of critical importance. Unfortunately, I think the state, whether deliberately or not, over years seriously neglected the development and proactive action in terms of firearm security in the country. When I say that, I'm not speaking about regulations as much, but rather making sure that, for example, ballistic testing can be done quickly, making sure that we have results quickly, making sure that firearm destruction can be done timeously. So many examples like that. And therefore, I mean, many police stations have scores of firearms being stored there, which is obviously not the ideal. So a lot of work to do in that regard as well.
Ian, when it comes to the trusting of the South African Police Service, I mean, right now, it's at an all-time low, because after listening to what had happened to that press conference on Sunday, it kind of feels that the public have every right to feel that way. Where now going forward? Because the SAPS is a part and parcel of the South African society when it comes to crime fighting. How do you take that low confidence and make it a high confidence? I'm sure it's not an easy job, but how can that be achieved in a short period of time?
So in my opinion, one of the key recommendations and actions that should be taken is that there needs to be an entire integrity management process, an audit that takes place. This includes lifestyle audit, skills audit, etc. And you need to clean up the top ranks of the South African Police Service first. And that needs to be done quite publicly too. So if you're there as a political appointment, you should be removed. If there's any indication of corruption, you should be suspended until further notice with the relevant investigation. And we need to make sure we make it public as those things happen. The public needs to actually see a physical change, because we've been promised a lot. In the Portfolio Committee, we've received so many messages from the Minister, from the National Commissioner, telling us, yes, we are taking action, etc. But we never really see a real change. I mean, if you look at the SAPS management for the past quite many years, it's been more or less the same. Here and there, a National Commissioner changed or Deputy National Commissioner shifted. But generally speaking, the top, let's say the top 50 have been pretty much the same. And if they didn't retire, they were just shifted to another environment within the police. So I would say that is absolutely critical. We need to make sure that the command staff as well are completely beyond reproach. And I, at the moment, can't honestly say that I think they are beyond reproach. The circus that we've seen play out over the last month indicates to me that there are serious factional battles. It indicates to me that there definitely is significant political influence from different relationships or different partners that they might have on opposing political sides. And it indicates to me that there are other arguments or other ongoing battles on the inside that we might not even know of. But what happened on Sunday was, in my opinion, again, just the tip of the iceberg.
Ian, before I let you go, today the DA, along with the Umkhonto weSizwe party, laid criminal charges against Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. DA Deputy Chief of Bax Nododa said that, quote unquote, he deliberately lied to members of Parliament, which breaks Section 27 of the Powers and Privileges Act. Ian, I just want to get your comment on that with regards to the future of Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. I know obviously it's going to take a long time before President Cyril Ramaphosa makes a decision, but him being the police minister, what's your reaction to the charges that have been laid and the future going forward for him?
So just in terms of the charges, I mean, the investigation needs to take its course and one needs to determine whether that is accurate or not. It is very confusing to go and listen once again to the messaging from the minister, and the statement that he released yesterday indicated that he also didn't, that they weren't associates, but that they were comrades. So it is very confusing and almost contradicting in terms. But that being said, it's important that we allow due process and for the rule of law to prevail. And if the investigation indicates that there was transgression, then the necessary repercussions need to take place. In terms of the president's decision, I don't know if a president can suspend a minister as such. Will he reshuffle? It's all speculation. It'll be very interesting to hear exactly what he suggests. It is going to be difficult, I think, to restore general trust, whether it's in the minister or the management of the South African Police Service. This has really put them under a very, very difficult and dark cloud. And we need to make sure that whatever remedies are to our disposal are taken on as soon as possible and as accurately as possible, and to ensure that we hold the relevant people accountable, because we need to restore that trust again.
Ian Cameron, absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
That's Ian Cameron. He is the chairperson of the Police Portfolio Committee. After the break, I'm going to be speaking to Agri-SA. Of course, Donald Trump has put a 30% tariffs on South African goods. What does that mean from the agricultural perspective? They account for 4% of South Africa's total agricultural exports, a lot of it to the United States. I'll be speaking to Johan Kotza after the break.